Hello everybody, sorry I'm not there, but thought I would do my presentation via a quick digital story. Quick is the operative word, so there will be some ums and ahs and hesitations because I'm not going to go back and make it perfect. Hope you will bear with me. I will briefly talk about the experience of writing the subject outline, the process of reviewing and providing feedback to Sandra and Celeste, and then reflecting on the whole process. As you may know, I do some work with doctors. I assist medical educators, so senior GPs who have an interest in education, to work with registrars to achieve their GP registration. So I'm a medical educator working with other medical educators. However, I'm the only one who is a non-medical medical educator. And my role is to work with all these incredibly passionate and enthusiastic senior GPs who have become medical educators to facilitate the learning program. These GPs who are medical educators are as keen as mustard about education, but most of them have had no formal training. So over the years, I've developed lots of short courses that I've done with these GPs. We've done things like developing a teaching toolbox, looking at the fundamentals of medical education, how to facilitate learning, particularly in large groups, and then getting those large groups to work in smaller groups independently, and some really basic principles about teaching and learning. And so my experiences at Bogong GP training became the impetus for the unit that I developed. And my aims were to develop a subject or a unit or a course that provided some essential skills and knowledge that would be required by a medical educator, and also to give a medical educator a first-hand feel for the role of being a medical educator, certainly before they went off and committed to a longer course. For example, there's a grad cert and grad diploma out of Melbourne Uni and a grad diploma out of Monash that have been particularly designed for general practitioners interested in that medical educator role. So I had a bit of an idea what I wanted to do, but my first dilemma was, oh my lord, where am I going to pitch this? Being very familiar with the Cert 4 and diploma level, I kind of thought maybe it was a diploma, but then went, no, it's not a diploma, maybe it's an advanced diploma. And then if it was an advanced diploma and I was working with doctors, they'd probably prefer that it was an associate degree. So I spent a lot of time wondering about where I was actually going to pitch it. And, I nailed it down. It was going to be a diploma or an advanced diploma or an associate degree. And I think in the end, I chose an advanced diploma, and probably because I'm so much more familiar and comfortable with those qualifications that, naturally fit in that vet sector. So my next hurdle was subject weighting. I really had no idea. And even though I tried to find some sort of criteria or method for allocating a subject weighting, I wasn't able to find one. So that little logo in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen at the moment is my logo for Jenny, you need to do some more work on this. The next part of the process was identifying the learning outcomes. And when I was actually doing it, I found this reasonably straightforward. My check is always that the learning outcomes tell a story, that there is a narrative of what we're trying to achieve, and I thought that I had done that. However, when I was reading through them yesterday when I was developing this, I thought, oh Lord, they probably do need some more work. And so even though I was really confident that they were fine, I actually don't think they are. I think they're probably too narrow and too specific to the context that I have in mind. So you'll see there on the left my little logo that says, Jenny, you need to do some more work. So the next part of the process was around delivery mode, and again, at the time, I felt quite comfortable with that. I knew that I wanted face-to-face time, both in workshops and also via either a Skype or a link session one-on-one, which was about momentum and keeping them moving through the material. Definitely needed them to be working in a self-directed mode, and I was going to do that via some research activities, but also some interactive online learning activities. And I was thinking of a couple of new programs that we're using called VoiceThread and PhotoThread. And the learners, interested GPs, would also do some work integrated learning activities, and that is they would be coming along to our workshops and working with our registrars as they start to apply the knowledge. And so to assessment. Well, I got a headache fairly quickly when I got to this part of the form. I'm very comfortable with competency-based assessment and can wax lyrical about competency-based assessment for some time. On the other hand, rubrics and graded assessments actually make me very nervous. So by default, I went with the competency-based approach, which was probably the wrong thing to do, hence the logo in the bottom right-hand corner, which says, Jenny, you need to do some more work. Regardless, I ploughed on with my competency-based approach and developed 3 assessment tools, one for a portfolio, an observation and an essay. So moving on now to identifying the specific content, I found this reasonably straightforward. I hesitated then because I'm not sure whether I've done a good job or not. I found it reasonably straightforward because I find the content just fell out of the learning outcomes, the story of what I wanted to achieve. I was able to identify what I thought would motivate my learners to learn deeply and well. I had a little bit of trouble here identifying the standards that will be used to assess their learning. It was fabulous when I looked at Celeste's unit outline that she'd been able to clearly identify the standards for accounting. I had a little bit more trouble finding standards for teaching and learning, so I tended to align it a little. I tended to spend more time aligning it to the AQF descriptors, and I'm pretty sure that's not the right thing to do. Goodness, I've just checked the time and I'm already over 5 minutes, so I've had to delete a couple of slides and I will wrap up quickly. Some tasks and sections did come reasonably easily, although I'm working in a bit of a vacuum because I've not done this before. Some bits were challenging and I've made a note that they will require further work. The review process was extremely helpful. It certainly gave me something to bounce off and place the work that I had done. And that last stop point, obviously, I've got lots more to do. And I just wanted to leave you with one of my most favourite slides of all time. I hope your weeks have been okay and that you've had a couple of really good days at uni and that you've taken copious, detailed notes so that I will feel that I haven't missed a thing. Cheers.